Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 174b, with the top of the page, with the words "My Beinahu." The Gemara asks, what is the difference between the opinion of Rav Papa and Rav Huna, son of Rav Yehoshua, as both agree that the orphans are exempt from repaying the debt until they reach majority? Ika Beinahu, Keshechayev Moide, Inami, Dishamtuhu, Umeis Beshamte. The Gemara answers, the difference between them is it a case where the one who owed money, meaning the deceased, admits explicitly, just before his death, that he did not yet repay any of his loan. Alternatively, there is a difference between them in a case where the court excommunicated the deceased for not cooperating with the court in repaying his debt, and he died while still in a state of excommunication, which demonstrates that the debt had not been repaid prior to his death. In both of these cases, Rav Papa would exempt the minor orphans from payment, as minors are not obligated to perform mitzvot, while Rav Huna, son of Yehoshua, would require them to pay the debt immediately, as there is no possibility that their father had repaid the debt. Shalachu mitom shemutu umeid b'sham tehil chazak Rav Huna berei de Rav Yehoshua. The sages of Eretz Yisrael sent a ruling from there to Babylonia. In a case where the court had excommunicated a debtor for not cooperating in repaying his debt, and the debtor died while still in a state of excommunication, the halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yehoshua, and the orphans must repay the debt immediately. Meisvei orev shoyshtach loiv yoitzim mitachas yodoi einoi goyve ve'im kasu boy his kabalti mimcho goyve. The Gemara raises an objection from a Braisa in Tosefte 11:15. A guarantor for a debt who has the promissory note that a debt in his possession, indicating that he has repaid the debt, and now he seeks reimbursement from the debtor, cannot collect if the debtor has died and the obligation for the debt has fallen into his minor heirs. But if it is written by the creditor, in the promissory note, I received repayment from you, then the guarantor can collect the debt from the minor heirs. The Gemara explains the objection. Granted, according to the opinion of Huna, the son of Yehoshua, you find the case where the minor heirs would be required to pay the debt, such as when one who owed the money, meaning the deceased, admits explicitly just before his death that he did not yet repay the loan. But according to the opinion of Papa, who maintains that the minor heirs never have to repay their father's debts, it is difficult. What is the case discussed in the Braite? The Gemara answers, it is different there, as it is for this reason, that the creditor troubled himself and wrote to the guarantor, I received repayment from you. Once the creditor writes this in the promissory note, it attains the status of a promissory note of the guarantor held directly against the debtor, and even Rav Papa agrees that a debt that is recorded as a promissory note can be collected from the deceased's property immediately, even from the minor heirs. Amar le Mordechai le Ravashi, Hachi Amar Levi Mehagronia, Mishmei Drava, Afil le Mandomar, Chayshinan Litzrori, Hanimiri B'Yisrael, Aval Goy, Kevon de Bosra Al Ve'ozel, Lo Chashina Tzarei. The Gemara relates there was a certain guarantor who guaranteed a loan given by a Gentile who repaid the Gentile creditor before the Gentile creditor claimed repayment from the orphans who survived the debtor. The guarantor now sought reimbursement from the orphans. Rav Mordechai says, Ravashi, this is what Rav Avimi of Hagronia said in the name of Rava, even according to the one who says that we are concerned for the possibility that the deceased may have given bundles of money to the creditor before his death. This statement applies only in the case of a Jewish creditor, but in the case of a Gentile creditor, since according to Gentile law, he is entitled to go directly to a guarantor, we're not concerned with the possibility that the deceased may have given bundles of money. The debtor would not repay the Gentile before the loan is due, as the latter has the right to collect directly from the guarantor and would thereby receive double payment. Amar li'ad afilu man davar lechashin tzori hanimili Yisrael abel goyim kiven edinu basar arva azli ila dev seda tzori mikara habi kabalei. Rav said to Rav Mordechai, on the contrary, and even according to the one who says that we are not concerned with the possibility that the deceased may have given bundles of money, this statement applies only in the case of a Jewish creditor, but in the case of a Gentile creditor, since according to Gentile law, they are entitled to go directly to a guarantor, and the guarantor would accept upon himself the guarantee of such a loan if the debtor had not given bundles of money as collateral to the Gentile creditor from the outset. Moshe bar Atzri of Orva dichsuva say lechal se have Rav Yehuna berei tzurba midrabanan have udechika le milza. Amar Abaya leka denezel naspe etzal Rav Huna de nigarsha de vetayu libetayu lebitahu vetezel vetigbek suva be'avoa ahadar nadre. The Mishnah teaches, and so Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel would say, if there is a guarantor for a woman for her marriage contract, and her husband is divorcing her, the husband must take a vow, prohibiting himself from deriving any benefit from her so that he can never remarry her. The Gemara relates an incident pertaining to this ruling. Someone named Moshe bar Atzari was a guarantor for the marriage contract of his daughter-in-law, guaranteeing that the money promised by his son in the event of death or divorce. His son, named Rav Huna, was a young Torah scholar and was in financial straits. Abaya said, is there no one who will go and advise Rav Huna that should he divorce his wife, and she will go to collect her marriage contract from Rav Huna's father, and then Rav Huna should remarry her? Amar le Rava ha yedirena hana tanan. Amar le Abaya itu kol migaresh. Rava said to Abaya, but didn't we learn in the Mishnah that when a husband divorces his wife, in such circumstances he must take a vow prohibiting himself from deriving any benefit from her, thereby precluding the possibility of remarriage? Abaya said to him, is that to say that everyone who divorces his wife divorces her in a court? Rav could be advised to divorce his wife outside the court, in which case he could do so without being forced to take the prescribed vow. Leso vigali milsa de kohen hu amar Abaya hainu damri inshi basaranya azla anyu. So ultimately it was revealed that this Rav Huna was a priest who may not marry a divorcee, even his own ex-wife. Abaya's suggestion was therefore not an option for him. Upon hearing this, Abaya said, this is in accordance with the adage people say, poverty follows the poor. Okay? I think we can do it. It's not that bad. Poverty follows the poor. Okay. Umi Amar Abaya Haki, and did Abaya really say this? Amar Abaya Ezu Russia Arum Zem Amasi The Gemara asks, but did Abaye really say this? Would he really encourage giving such advice? But doesn't Abaye himself say, who is a cunning, wicked person? This is the one who provides advice to sell property in accordance with the ruling of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, as taught elsewhere in Ketubot 95b. If one says, my property is hereby bequeathed to you, and after you die it will pass to so and so, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel rules that the first recipient can sell the property, which would thereby deprive the second recipient from receiving it. Abaye said that the giving advice to someone to pursue such action, though it is legally sound, is considered wicked here as well. Why would he give advice to Rav Huna to divorce his wife only in order to force his father to pay the marriage contract? Beno shani v'tzura rabbanan shani. The Gemara answers, when dealing with one's own son, it is different. It is not considered wickedness to force a father to give money to his own son. Moreover, when dealing with a Torah scholar, it is difficult. It is not considered wickedness to procure money for a Torah scholar, because the money enables him to pursue his studies. The Gemara asks another question with regard to this incident. But wasn't Moshe bar Azari's guarantor? And we maintain, as the Gemara will soon see, that a guarantor for a marriage contract does not become obligated to pay. The Gemara answers, he was an unconditional guarantor. Hanich Laman. Damar. Kabla Nichsuva Avol Pi. Lespod Nichse Lebal Mishtabed Shapir. Hello, Domer Islay Mishtabed. Ileslay La Mishtabed. Maigavinaihu. The Gemara objects, this works out well according to the one who says that an unconditional guarantor for a marriage contract becomes obligated to pay, even if the husband has no property of his own at the time of the marriage. According to this opinion, all is well, but according to the one who says if the husband has his own property and the unconditional guarantor becomes obligated to pay, but if the husband does not have his own property, he does not become obligated. What is there to say? Rav Huna obviously did not have any property. Why then was his father held responsible for paying his marriage contract according to this latter opinion? The Gemara answers, if you wish to say that Rav Huna had property when he got married, so that his father's guarantee took effect, but it became blighted, it was ruined or lost in the interim. If you say a bar benel vis-a-vis his son, a father vis-a-vis his son sincerely obligates himself to guarantee his marriage contract even when the son has no property of his own. The itmar that we learned, Arab Diksuva, Divrei Hakol, Lo Mishtabed, Kablan de Balchoiv, Vidivrei Hakol Mishtabed, Kablan Diksuva, Arab de Balchoiv, Pligi, Marsavar Islay, Nixle Loiv Mishtabed, Ilaslay, Lo Mishtabed, Marsavar, Bain Islay, Ubain Leslay Mishtabed. The Gemara elaborates on the issue under discussion. This is as it was stated. Everyone agrees that a standard guarantor for a marriage contract does not become obligated to pay the marriage contract, and everyone agrees that an unconditional guarantor for a creditor, meaning for a loan, becomes obligated to pay the loan. With regard to an unconditional guarantor for a marriage contract and a standard guarantor for a creditor, the sages disagree. One sage holds that if a debtor or husband has his own properties, guarantors become obligated for the guarantees that they have undertaken. But if he does not have his own property, the guarantor does not become obligated. And one one sage holds that whether the debtor or husband has property does not have a property, the guarantor becomes obligated to pay it. B'hilchasa, and the law is Arev bein Islay bein Leslay Mishtabed bar mi'ardik suva di'afal gav di'islay ba'al lo mishtabed ma'itama mitzvahu David v'lo midi chas frey. Okay. And the halacha is that a guarantor becomes obligated to pay whether the debtor has his own property or does not have his own property. This is the exclusion of the guarantor for a marriage contract, in which case, even if the husband has his own property, he does not become obligated to pay. What is the reason for this? The intention of the guarantor is to perform a mitzvah of facilitating a marriage by encouraging a woman to consent to the marriage as a result of his involvement, but he does not truly intend to obligate himself. And furthermore, in contrast to a guarantor for a loan where the creditor stands to suffer a loss, if he is not paid, the woman does not suffer any concrete loss. But if the husband does not borrow money from the woman, therefore the level of judgment of commitment of the guarantor in this case is lower. Accordingly, the sages instituted that the guarantor does not become responsible for payment of the marriage contract from his own property. Rav Huna Omar Menal Deployed Nemor V'Chazakain Admois Kenuyab El Hagdish. Rav Huna says that a person is on his deathbed who consecrated all his property to the treasury, temple treasury, and then says, so and so has 100 dinars in my possession. I owe 100 dinars to so and so. It is deemed credible, and the money is to be repaid to that person. The reason for this is that there is a presumption that a poem does not collude against the Torah treasury. He would not lie about owing money to someone, thereby causing a loss to the temple treasury. Okay, Moscow of Nachman Kiyadam Isaac Yinalbanav Drav Shmuel Tamar Safaya Shkimira Shamar Manel Ploini Yadi Amar Tanu Noisin Alomar Tanu A Noisin Alma Adam Asui Shaloi Lasbia Espanov. And Nachman objects to the ruling, and does a person collude against his children? Of course not. Yes. Yet Rav and Shmuel both say, in the case of a person on his deathbed who says so and so had 100 dinars by possession, only if he pays explicitly give him the money, the children give it. But if he did not say explicitly give him the money, the children do not give it. The person on his deathbed is not assumed to be telling the truth about owing the money unless he explicitly instructs that the money is given. Apparently, that then is assumed that a person is prone to make false statements and not to make his sons appear sated, meaning wealthy. A person on his deathbed may falsely claim that he is in debt in order to dispel the notion that his children are wealthy heirs.